What's up, comic book fans, and welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me, and today we got more from the fall of the House of X with Rise of the Powers of X, or 10. I'm not sure if that X is Roman numeral or just X, but we got issue number 2. And two things to note with this issue is that 1, Rasputin 4 is an absolute beast, and 2, get ready for a sinister surprise by the end. And if you need to get caught up in this series, or just a reminder, I place a card to the last issue up top. Because if you're unaware, there's a whole lot going on here between the fall of the House of X, rise of the powers of X, dead X-Men, and more. I think I'll just go ahead and put a card for the entire playlist up top too. And there'll also be a link at the end of this video. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you guys are ready to jump into this issue, then you know what time it is. Let's get it. So this issue begins with the Enigma Dominion, who's looking back through time and is now watching a young Moira in her 10th life, just before her X gene kicks in. As Dominion states that in this 10th life, she has a new plan. She may as well try it. She's tried everything else. She is mistaken. There is one more thing that she could try. I will offer it to her. Not now, but later. Then he looks ahead to Jean Grey as she faces her first annihilation, and the part of her that eats stars and dominions steps closer. Then he moves backwards in time to find a young Cyclops after he moves on from his parents, and Enigma traces his path up to what we call current day, where AI and humans fight mutants for the fate of the world. It is but a historical footnote in Enigma's ascendance. As Scott Summers waits in his cell, he thinks Jean Grey will save him. He doesn't know that she is dying along with the Phoenix. Enigma then acknowledges that if he looks, he can find anyone. He even looks back at the events of the last issue of Rise of the Powers of X, where the X-Men fight for a future that is already lost. He can see them all, except for Xavier. He can't seem to locate Charles Xavier, so he moves back in time to a moment in Charles's youth with his stepbrother, and he watches this moment a few times, studying the techniques and remembering the words and ways to hurt him. Then he traces him throughout the years and near the now, where he finds Charles exploring the ruins of the Moira engine the sinister part of Enigma made. Then as Charles heads back to Krakoa, this is where he's lost by Enigma. Then we transition to No Place X, where Charles is currently holed up outside of space and time, hiding from Enigma. And after the failed attempts of issue number 1, it's now on to plan B. Then we see a clone of Mother Righteous, who was constructed with assistance from a name that has been redacted. But she is held inside of an egg, and she's incapable of performing any arcane effects or even speaking any information that has been assigned as classified. But she is able to share thoughts with the other version of herself that is currently in the White Hot Room, kind of like a radio. But she tells Xavier that his plan will not work. But if she were to be let out of her egg, then she could help put him on the right path. But Cypher lets her know that he knows all languages, including body language, and it's obvious to him that she's lying. And her being their radio is all that they really need from her. So now Charles goes over the plan. And first, they need to reach Moira before her gift activates, which should be easy since they have multiple methods of time travel. But the problem is, there are Dominion Arachno Sentinels in the time stream watching for attempts to reach there. It's believed that they can dodge them once, but only once. So they would need to choose where they strike very carefully. But Cypher thinks that they should just go back and shoot her in the delivery ward. He's got no chill. So of course Xavier reprimands him. Then he lets them know that even if they were to go that monstrous route, they can't be sure that any of the information they have about her powers activating at age 13 is true. He needs all the data confirmed separately from a biological Moira before he can talk to her, which is why the events of Dead X-Men are going on right now. Mother Righteous is still skeptical. She tells them that the Dominion has already won. Whatever they do, it can't change anything. It's already escaped causality. But Rasputin isn't buying what Mother Righteous is selling. She feels like Enigma definitely doesn't want them to go to that spot in time. Hence, the defenses in the time stream, which to her implies that there is something that can be done, which scares Enigma. But Cypher acknowledges that this is all they've got, and it ain't David versus Goliath. It's more like 5 ants trying to take down Galactus. So then we see the other Mother Righteous in the white hot room with a gun pointed at her head by Hope Summers. Then she asks if Hope can be ordered not to point the gun against her head when she sends her messages, but Xavier points out that Hope doesn't really take orders, at least not from him. Then they wonder how she even has a gun in there, and Mother Righteous lets them know that Hope telekinetically assembled it from atoms. It's her comfort gun, a copy of the first 9mm that Cable gave to her. But then Rachel asks Mother Righteous how things are going in the White Hot Room in general. And we see that Jean Grey is dying, so not great. And the reason that Jean is dying is because Mother Righteous tried to sacrifice the Phoenix in order to achieve Dominionhood. But now Charles gives Rachel the go-ahead to send out her team. And we find out from Rachel that they'll have 30 minutes of activity in each timeline before they're spotted. Meanwhile, Enigma is still searching for Charles, and he gets an idea. And he moves forward in time to see how Charles is dragged to the light. This is when he finds out that Charles has grown himself a no-place that hangs out of time. So now, Enigma knows where to start looking, and he sends in a swarm of Arachno Sentinels to search for the slightest hint of reality. Then we go back to No Place X, and Rasputin is now telepathically speaking with Xavier about Rachel not knowing the full plan. And Charles confirms that that is the case, but she may suspect that he'll try to depower Moira. But Charles knows that when one can be repowered, this isn't going to be nearly enough to accomplish their endgame. But she believes, even though Charles feels like he no longer has the luxury of belief. He has to clear up the mess they made no matter what, even if it means killing Moira and keeping Krakoa from being born. But then there's a huge explosion, and now they've been found by Dominion Sentinels. But Cypher can get No Place X on the move, but he's going to need a little more time, which Rasputin vows to give him. But as she's heading out to go fight, Charles wants to make sure that she's fully on board with his plan. But she doesn't have time for that right now. She's got to go be dope. And then she steps out like a boss, because as she says, she was made for this. And then she flies through the air ready for battle, shouting, "For Krakoa!" Meanwhile, back inside of No Place X, as Rasputin is outside fighting off the Sentinels, Cypher lets Charles know that he noticed the psychics having a good old chat. And he tells Charles that he wanted to eavesdrop, but he had revealed what else he loaded into this clone. And then he reveals the diamond on his forehead. This guy's a Nathaniel Essex clone, aka Mr. Sinister. But Charles is already aware of it and tells him to put that away, because Rasputin will not forgive him. Then back outside, Rasputin is in a fight of her life. And as the Sentinel thinks he has her neutralized, she lets out a huge blast. And now that Cypher is ready to move, Charles makes sure that he rescues Rasputin, because they're going to need everybody. So he reaches out with one of the tendrils and snags her, and then he cuts them free of the main tendril, and they vanish. Then as we see Rasputin telepathically thanking the team for the save, Enigma seems to speak directly with Xavier, asking him, "What will you do when she finds out?" And Charles seems to respond, "Hope that it's too late for it to make any difference." Then Rachel lets them all know that she has good news, that her team has done it. They found the correct Moira timeline, and it's time to go. So as Xavier is about to step out into this timeline to complete the mission, he looks back and gets reassurance from Rasputin that he can trust her, to which she acknowledges that it's too late to do otherwise, so good luck. But Rachel is still hopeful, and she cheers him on, telling him that he's got this. Have the word, get back, and we can get on with the really dangerous stuff. And Charles is like, yes, just a word. But then Enigma says that it is time. The time for Moira to learn the one other thing she could try. Then we go back to Earth during the X-Men invasion, and as Moira and Nimrod are fighting this war, Moira gets a visit. A visit from Enigma Dominion, who writes a message with fire in the sky, telling her, they don't win, I win. And she's like, so? And he responds, let's talk. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the issue. Man, y'all, what are y'all thinking about this series so far? It seems like there's a lot of backdoor deceitful plans for these X-Men. With Rachel not knowing that Charles's plan is to kill Moira, and Rasputin not knowing that Cypher is an Essex clone, Charles is definitely going to have some explaining to do with two of the most powerful mutants on the team. You got some explaining to do, Charles. How do you think that's going to go over? And what did you guys think about the reveal of Sinister Cypher? Did you see it coming? It kind of seems like we're speeding through this pretty quickly, but with still 3 more issues in this Rise of the Powers of X series along with all of the rest, I'm thinking that something is definitely going to go awry with Xavier's plan. But if you guys enjoyed this video and this channel, and you like to support the channel, then you could do so by joining the new Iconic Fan Club channel membership. And I once again like to give a special shout out to the first new Iconic fan, Samuel Summers. But with your Iconic Fan Club membership, you'll gain access to weekly interactive live streams with yours truly in front of the camera, where we could talk about what's been going down in these issues, as well as ones that you'd like for me to go over in the future, and other comic news. Plus, you'll get loyalty badges, member shout-outs in these videos, and more. Or you can donate to the channel with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do either of these, then you can still help out this channel tremendously by dropping a like, share, and subscribing to Comics Icons for more icons in the comic book world. But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. I'm out. Peace.